Hey guys, there was a little talk and some comments left on my channel about sine bars and what we were doing with them, and I started thinking about it. And yesterday you saw me in my video sweep the top of the sine bar and leave one bolt is just an average tightening, just maybe a couple of fingers with an Allen wrench, but then I crunched down on this rear one to send this roller up deeper into the V groove and distort this metal and make my top reading correct. Well, and there was a comment left, or a couple comments, that I'm also decreasing the length between rollers, which is true, you know, and this is supposed to be a 5-inch sine bar. So what do? You know, how do you really bring it into calibration? Now, the distance between rollers isn't important as long as you know what it is. It doesn't matter if it's 5 inches on the dot or 5.004 or whatever, as long as it's a known number. And right now we don't know what the number is. This is what we do know. We do know that the top sweeps flat, and we're going to double check that after we get the pink terry cloth off of the surface plate. I'm just kind of setting up here. We're going to sweep the top, check it again for parallelism with the table. I already know that my two rollers are exactly the same size, straight, not oval, perfectly round. I have taken them off and checked those. And so we're gonna continue to crunch down on this one and create a balance between the two till they're both adequately tight, but also the top of the bar is true with the table and sweeps flat. And then we're gonna try to figure out a way to measure, with it all bolted together, the distance between center of this roller and the center of this roller. We know they're both the same size, so we could go edge to edge, center to center, back to back, whatever, however we want to measure it. But how do we do that? I've got a recently acquired mic, but you know, how would I, you know, that's not going to work. How am I going to get in there and measure that? The rollers are actually recessed slightly, you know, so there's no way to get on there to measure them or even create a hook block or anything. So we've got no way to really measure them with a mic. That's my new acquisition. Adam sent me that. I'm going to show you the back of that beam. That's where it was deeply engraved. And I polished that all the way out. Just for giggles. Okay. So anyways, this isn't going to work. But I wanted to showcase it here in the video a little bit. And we got no way to do anything there. So we're going to put that to the side. What we are going to do, just so we have a known measurement, and I'll probably end up putting a sticker on this thing, probably up here. This isn't really a working surface up here. I'll probably put a small sticker on there with the roller center to center distance on it as a reminder to myself. I'm going to lap this surface here, then I'm going to stand it up on the plate, and then I need to get a very accurate measurement. I'm going to turn it sideways. Now, pretend we got a plate here. I'm going to use gauge blocks, and with a tense indicator, I'm going to go back and forth between the gauge block and here, back, forth, and keep changing my gauge block stack until I have a known 0, 0 reading. So by comparison, I'll know the height of this with it sitting down on a surface plate. So after I know this number, I'm going to add 5 inches to it as a start. I'm going to add 5 inches to it and get up and measure up here. So with a little bit of math, we'll be able to take this distance and deduct this distance and come up with what our center to center distance is. And that's without changing what we've cranked down on here. And after we've got a known distance between rollers, we can always do our math and always get our gauge stack correct. So like I say, a sine bar doesn't matter. It doesn't care if it's 2 inch between rollers, 2.5, 3, 5, 5.004, whatever, as long as it's known, you can work with it. So that was an interesting comment, and let's get this off and get some stuff cleaned up, and get a gauge block stack in here, and get this bottom number first, and we'll go from there. Okay, and I've already started. I've measured off from this surface here up to the top of the roller, and it's as close as I can with this. See, I'm having a hard time getting a mic in here. That's why mics aren't really a good idea for this. But as a starting number, what I came up with was 1.214. So in the way we select blocks, we don't start off here. So some guys would just come in and grab a 1-inch block and then try to do the math backwards. So we're going to come in and actually build our stack backwards. So 1.214, we're going to start with the 4. So here's a block that's 0.104. So 0.104. And we take that off, so that cancels that out. Bring the 1 down, and 1 from 2 is 1. So we still need 1.110. Next decimal place we're going to work on is the second one over here. So I need a 110 block if I have it, which I do. So now I've got a 110 block, so 110. And then we bring that down, 0, 0, and 0. So guess what I need now? 1 inch. There's a 1-inch block. So here I'll just go ahead and do the math. Minus 1 inch. Now there's just 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay? So that's your total answer on building a gauge block stack. So always work them backwards from the third or fourth or however far out you're going to go, and to calculate your gauge block stacks. Anyways, that's just a little side note. Anyways, this, in theory, these 3 blocks are supposed to be this height. So we're going to get a gauge set up and get the plate exposed and start working it over. All right. Okay, and we're back, and got our surface plate exposed and cleaned up, and I've gave this a real gentle lap on this end of the sine bar, and feels real good down on the table. And we've got our gauge stack here that we've already calculated, and what we're going to start with is 1.214. And I'm just going to clean up these blocks here real quick right before we ring them together. Okay, and we got our blocks clean and ready to go together. And we've already done the math, and we only needed 3 blocks. I needed a 0.104, a 0.110, and a 1 inch. And this is just a good starting point. We're going to put our block in at 90 here. Press firmly, and then rotate 90 degrees. And she should ring, which she does. And then we're going to wipe off the top of this guy with our finger, make sure we got no debris on there. Same thing on our little guy here. 90 degrees. Rub it around. Turn it in. Rung. Okay. So that's our gauge stack. Now what we're going to do, according to all our preliminary measurements, that stack is 1.214. We're going to put a gauge in here, come in, get zeroed on this, switch this out, go to this, and check our height there and see what the difference is. And I've got 2 indicators here. And I'm not going to start off with that one. This is a half thou indicator. That's a 1/10 of a thou indicator. So this one stays away just for a little while until we get in the same zip code. So I'm just going to get this little guy right on here. Make sure everything, all my snugs are tight. Make sure I got no wiggle anywhere. I think I'm pretty good there. Okay. Gosh, I'm hoping you can see that without any glare. These white indicators really. Come over here, you can see it. All right. According to what I'm looking at in the camera, it's just a white circle. You may have to take my word for it. Okay, so we're gonna. That's our starting point. I'm gonna zero it out about over here. So over here is gonna be 0. Down very close to touching, and close up my top. Use my fine adjust here. Okay, so let's move this back and forth. No movement. All right, we're happy. Now let's come in here and see if we need to add or subtract to that block. And I'm just going to run it straight in, and since we're coming up against a roller, we're coming up from a round surface on the ball tip to a round surface on the roller, we're looking for our highest reading. So I'm just going to gently push that in. Still pushing, still pushing. We're within a thou. All right, looks like we're high. We need to add 1 thou to that gauge block. 1.5, 2. Looks like about 2 thousandths we need to add to that. Okay, so our original was 1.214. Now we need to add 0.002. So now we're going to 4, 6, 1, 2. All right, our new number is 1.216. And we're going to go ahead and do that before we start adding. Let's double check it, make sure we repeat. We're going to do that again with this indicator before we start adding tenths. All right. I'm showing a pretty solid 2 thousandths over there. That's pretty much line to line. All right, and we're going to go back and check this guy again. Basically, we're using this gauge block, or this gauge stack as a standard. Make sure we come back to 0 again. Which we didn't. So let's do that again. Make sure I'm tight here. Make sure my base is down. Very maddening. I sat there and I drank my coffee this morning and I watched Adam fight his his surface plate. All right, I think we're zeroed there. Let's get back in here. And we snapped right back up to 0. All right, so we're happy there. Let's go back to our roller again, see if we still get 2 thousandths over. You're on 0, 1, 2. Oh, I'm going to call that about 2. I'm hoping you can get in on that gauge and see that. That's about 2 point. So that's 0.002. And I'm going to call that about 2. So that's about 2 thousandths and plus 2 tenths on that one. So I'm gonna modify my gauge stack now. And here, let me get the math out in front of you here. our existing stack is 1.214. We measured 2.2 thousandths over, so we're going to go 0.0022. So now we need a gauge block stack of 2, 6, 1, 2, there. So our gauge block stacks needs to be 1.2162. And let's work that one backwards. So we're going to take the 2162 and it's all about the decimal places, and it's real easy to lose your place on the decimal places. This gauge is 0.1002. So it's 0.1002 minus, so that cancels that one out. Bring the 6 down, bring the 1 down, turns that into a 1, and then our 1 obviously carries down. So there's our first block. Now we've got 116 to deal with. And I think I'm going to put my 104 back, and we're looking for a 6. So here I'm going to take 0.1060 away from it. Zeros it out, bring down the 1, zeros this out, and then brings down our 1. So those are the two so far. So now I've got next up is 10 thousandths. So I need to get 10 thousandths out of there. 6. So now I've got my here's my 110. Oh, that's 11. Yeah, that's 110. All right, so I'm going to take. I don't really have a choice. I'm going to have to take 0.110 off of it. So 0 down, 0 down. This turns out into a 0. Now we're going to point, or that's going to change that to a 9. So it's going to give us 0.9 there. And now I'm going to put my 1 inch block away and get out to a 0.9 inch block, 0.90. All right, and that'll bring us, that'll zero us. Okay, so that's our gauge block stack. Yeah, let's ring these together. Actually, let me clean them. .2162 was our corrected measurement. 1.214 plus our 2.2 thousandths came up with a corrected height of 1.2162, and there I am on the stack there. And you can see I'm just hitting that ratchet there, 1.21625. So yeah, that's we got our gauge stack right. All right, let's get our paper out of the way. Little wipe down, and we're going to zero out on this guy again. Okay, so we're happy we're at zero there. I'm going to bring my sine bar back. Slip this guy out of here. Come back into here. Let's say you're still about 2/10 shy there. At this point now, it's time to turn over this task from the half thou indicator, which is very well behaved. This is a very well behaved little gauge. This one is the red-headed stepchild. This is not a happy gauge, and it doesn't make Stan happy, but it's a love-hate thing, and I actually enjoy using it. It's a very maddening little gauge, but we're going to switch to this and do another comparison. Right now, I'm showing us at I'm showing about a 2/10 variation. I'm just shy of that zero right there, and if I put my gauge stack back in, I should snap back up to zero. I slammed into that pretty hard. Let's see what we got here. No, we're just. I think we might be there. Oh, slammed into it again. It's like a train wreck when you bring that part over to the needle. Okay, let's run it across again. Okay. Yep, zero, happy. Come in here. Yeah, that's about a needle width right there. All right, let's switch over to this to the Alina and check it again, and we're checking it for tenths this time. My gauge blocks are capable of building tenths stack. So it's tight. Loosen my snug here. Goodbye, old faithful. Hello, padded room. Okay, very tight. Don't feel any movement there. Yeah, let's see where we're at here. Tighten my upper, tweak my lower till I get a number. Let's put zero about over here. If that's the direction we're going to go. Nope, of course not. It's going to go the opposite direction. Put zero over here. And what I should note is you want to use as little of the gauge travel as possible. You don't want to run it around full scale and have that indicator with a bunch of preload that you have to jam your part underneath. So you want it to when you're setting your zero, just the first little bit of travel of the unit, about a quarter scale is wonderful with me. Oh, well, I'm getting that pretty close to zero there. Let's see what we're getting here. That's too far. I found that if you stop about a thou and a half before zero like that, then when you tighten your snug here on the back, it pulls it in. So let's see what that does. We already know what that does. That's just horrible. Let's tighten that snug again. Let's not bang on it. Let's just be nice to it and go back and forth one time and see if they compare. Okay, come back up on it. Okay, I'm good with that. I'm about a needle width off of zero. And I know if I touch it, it's all over. Like I said. All right, I'm happy there. Bring our sine bar over. See how that compares. Just even the direction that it travels has an effect on it. On the way in, it's a tenth shy. And on the way out, it comes all the way up to zero. So that's incredibly maddening right there. Just your direction of travel on the needle has an effect on it. Okay, so we're within a tenth of a thou. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to take this stack that I already have put together, and in theory, our rollers are exactly 5 inches apart. So I'm just going to take a 3, and I'm going to take a 2, and I'm going to put them together and add them to this, and basically take this stack and add 5 inches to it. Stand it up, zero it, and run a comparison in there. Oh, pardon my air compressor. That is a rude dog. It just kicks on when it feels so inclined. And I'm hoping you can still hear me. All right, we're going to clean up the 3-inch, and we're going to clean up the 2-inch. Do a little ring here. This is going to be a hell of a stack, I tell you. All right, whoa, there she's rung, but that's such a heavy block, it just wanted to pull away. All right, we're rung there and pulled together. Yeah, I can feel them sucking down to each other. This stack here, and do that. And like I say, that is one hell of a gauge stack there. Now, in all theory, if in fact that is a 5-inch sine bar, we've created a bias where the top of this should be even with the top of that roller there. So let's stick with the I think I'm gonna keep this together like this, just side by side, and just move my surface gauge around. And the rude dog finally shut off. All right, we're going to bring this guy up to here. Oh, that was a lot. And we're going to come back down just past 0 and then lock it. And in my experience, it jumps back when I lock. Then we come off and back on. See if we repeat, which we do. All right, now we're ready to take our final measurement. This is the moment that we've been waiting for, just to see how far apart our rollers are. So let's get off of here and come over here. All right, so our rollers are short by 1, 2, 3, 4/10. So we know our bar is short by a very, very small amount. And just to verify that, we're going to run over here. We should pop back up to 0, which we don't. Here, let's let it settle down. Off, on, off, on. Okay, I'm showing a 1/10 below here. Let's bring it back over here. Back on our roller. It's 3/10 below. So you know what? I'm calling the sine bar good. It's only a couple of tenths off of center to center. I don't think I'm going to sticker it. If it was 1/1000th or 2 off center to center on my rollers, I would say yes. But ultimately, I trust this bar now to be 5-inch. All right, so we've got our gauge stack. We've used this as a comparison gauge back and forth. We've determined that our distance between rollers, and we had to just do a hard way calculation. We had to determine this length by trial and error. After this was a known height, we added 5 inches to it, came up here. We were 2/10, I'm calling it 2/10 off of 5-inch roller to roller. Spec on these bars is a 1/2 thou. This is I believe this was a Fowler US when I bought it, and their spec was a 0.0005. So we didn't alter any of our screw settings and any of our tightness, but we did we swept it yesterday, so we know we're flat. And now we know we've got a flat bar, and we know we've got 5-inch between rollers, and they're 2/10 shy, which I don't believe for what I do. I'm not building the space shuttle. What I do, it's close enough. All right, but hope you learned something. I've been reading up on Joe blocks and stack blocks and how to get them put together properly. And I'm still looking for a good way to care for them. Like I say in my set, rotate that 90, get this out of here. In my set, I'm looking for a way to keep them from corroding. And you know, when they're in storage. 106, 110, 1002. And all I've been doing is I take this piece of terry cloth. It's a terry cloth towel, but it's pretty tightly knit. I mean, it's frayed on the ends, but I'm pretty happy with it. And I just give it a light coat of oil, spray oil, and just not enough to make it drip or anything, but just to keep a little oil vapor inside of there. Then I just close the box up and keep that trapped in there with it as a moisture absorbent, and just to try to keep them nice. Because there's a lot of times this thing will sit for maybe a month, and sometimes it does get humid here, and I'm trying to find a way to preserve these. So if you got any suggestions on how to preserve this, I've got desiccant packets too, so that might be good, but I like the oil idea better. All right, well, that's my take on the Sine bar and the self-taught way I check between roller distance. All right, guys, thanks for watching.